Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.
Hi, I'm Cherry Johnson with Watauga County Arts Council, and I want to introduce you again to one of the most colorful artists in our area.
Yeah, like my shirt I have on today.
everything Marion does is colorful. This is Marion Cloaninger. And Marion is, well, I first knew her as a painter, I think, when I first got to know you. Mm-hmm. And then you just kind of keep taking off in new directions. And so more in the last few years, you've been doing a lot of collage.
That's right.
And a lot of, your collages have a different effect, partly because of a finish you put on top of your work that's unique. Mm-hmm. And you were the first person I ever saw do anything like that. Now she's venturing into new territory with something called a jelly plate. So we want to talk about some of the cool things Marion's doing and how you can learn from Marion and get involved with some of her work in your own way. Marion, let's go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know how long I've known you, a long time. How did you start into all of this? Where did all this begin?
Well, I started with painting walls. I like to do like some faux finishes. So I started with that and maybe a few pieces of furniture, and then thought, well, I want to go on and try something different. And so then I went to watercolor.
I think that's when I bumped into you first.
And watercolor can be bright, but to me it felt like it wasn't quite bright enough.
Yeah, you like bright colors.
I really, really like bright colors. So then I went to acrylics, and that is where I've stayed because I really like the acrylics.
You take acrylics way beyond what most acrylic artists take them. So that's kind of an understatement of acrylics. All right, one thing you do is the collage aspect.
That's right.
And so let's talk about your collages. Where do you get the things that you put into your collages, and how do you know what you're putting in? And tell me about your process. You and I have talked about this before, but let's share this.
Well, collage can be just really anything that you might want to glue down, but I like to collect things. If I look through magazines that come to the house, sales magazines, I might find little snippets in there like flowers or vases or just really anything that catches my eye, and I'll cut it out and keep it. And then there's different papers you can use. Sometimes I use old books, and I'll just tear parts out that I might like. And of course, by the time you get through gluing it down and adding your paint and everything, it just adds an element. You don't really know what it was to start with. Right.
And that's one thing about yours is when we say collage, you know, you think of the grade school version where they glue things down and then that's it. But then you take it way past that. You know?
Right. It's more of like sometimes it can be the end product, but most times it is in developing a painting that I'm using it.
And is there a beginning point? I mean, do you have like a vision of where you're going to go? Or is this something you just say, okay, let's start and see what happens?
Well, it depends. Usually, I might have an idea in my head, but that doesn't mean it's going to end up like that.
Yeah.
Because the painting just kind of takes on a life of its own and tells you where it wants to go.
Yeah, just a minute ago before we started this, you said something about you kind of go here, then you go there. You don't know where it's going to go.
You don't know what your past's going to be, and you might change several times. You might paint over it before you actually end up with what you want.
And how do you know when you got to what you want?
I just feel that comfortable feeling inside. I try not to finish a painting too quickly. I'll sometimes just set it aside for a day or two and come back to it.
Right.
And then I usually can see if something else needs to happen.
So you just keep going until that painting feels right to you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, sometimes there's a danger of overpainting.
Oh, yeah. A lot of...
So you have to be careful about that. And I have overpainted a few times.
So what happens when you do that? Do you toss it or do you...
Oh, no. You can start over again.
She just adds a few more layers.
That's right. And I don't necessarily gesso over it, although you can do that. I might just use that as a background and go from there.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, you'll be teaching a workshop soon, coming up on the 30th, and it's background painting and collage. And what is this about background painting? Why background painting?
Well, it's just a very freedom to lay paint down, make marks and designs and whatever colors you might want to experiment with, and not worry about anything. Just lay it down.
And now, are these good examples of what they'll be doing?
Well, this one behind you is because the upper part of that painting is all just rolling on paint with a brayer, using marks with color shapers. And then the very bottom part is all collage. And then added colors from markers and added paint to kind of incorporate it into the painting. But that's an idea of what you can do with the background paint.
And so this is just background?
No, the bottom part's collage.
Okay.
But the top part is just throwing the paint down there and making designs. And I just liked the way it turned out, so I decided to keep it.
Okay,
and just add the collage to it.
Now, this one, for example, this beautiful couple is her daughter and her husband.
Yep.
And was the intent here to use them in a piece and to start something out with them, or was it that was kind of like where you went when the painting got there?
Well, I wanted to do a collage of them. And so I decided this is all collage. I decided to use my jelly plate, which we mentioned earlier, and pull some monoprints off of it. And the whole background is what I did on my jelly plate.
Cool.
And then you can take the photograph and you have to, I use a gel medium on top of whatever photographs I use to keep them from like destroying some of the finish when you glue them down. And then I cut them out very carefully with sharp, small scissors and glue them down carefully. You have to be careful about bubbles underneath and everything. Make sure it's all down flat. And then you can have these wonderful collages of your family.
Fantastic.
You know, you can make them.
This is so much better than your standard portrait, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and this one too, the background is just, part of it is rolled on paints. And then the rest is some jelly plate papers, and then flowers collaged on top of it all.
So those are flowers you found somewhere in some magazine or something. Right. And then you just...
And I just added, and then the leaves are like things that I made on my jelly plate. So you just, you know, whatever comes to mind.
Now, do you come back with a brush and add paint sometimes?
Sometimes. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I use markers.
Oh, okay.
To add a little extra color in.
So you're like a multimedia artist.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I don't stick with any one particular thing. Although acrylic paint is what I like the best.
Right.
But I do like to add a lot of different things.
Now tell us about the jelly plate, because I can't wait to see one of these, you know. And you're going to add this to the end of your workshop, or give people at your workshop a chance to see a jelly plate and work with the jelly plate. Well,
that's right, because if they want to make pull a paper off the jelly plate, they could actually incorporate that in the collage that they're making in the class.
Okay, and what is a jelly plate?
Well, a jelly plate, if you think of like Jell-O, the consistency, that's what it feels like. It's a very soft plate. I got mine from Amazon, but other stores have them. And then you put your acrylic paint down on the jelly plate with a brayer.
Now, is it a design on it? Like multi-layer is flat?
It's just flat.
Okay.
And then you can put stencils on top of it. You can make marks with color shapers. You can do various things, and then you put I use good printing paper, basically. But you can use other papers. You can use tissue paper. Different things. But you use your paper and then you smooth it down on your jelly plate and pull it off, and you have this wonderful monoprint that you can use, and you can make layers on top of layers on that same piece of paper. Or like I did in this very small painting here, that is totally an abstract from using a jelly plate paper. And I had some white areas on it, and I just took a yellow marker and filled in those areas. And then I had a piece that I liked so much, I didn't want to do anything else to it.
That's great.
So I just glued it down on the wooden support. But you can do so much. It can expand what you can do with your artwork.
So now you glued it down, but then you went back and you added that coating that you put over your pieces. Yes. Which is, what's that made of again?
It's called it's a clear gel, but it's self-leveling.
It is really, it makes I can pick out a Marion piece anywhere because of those, you know, because you're the only artist I know of that does those consistently. And it really adds a polished effect to the entire piece. You know, it gives it a perfect surface.
Yeah,
you know.
and I don't stop there. I do one more surface technique after finishing
What's that?
I use Renaissance wax.
Oh, I remember you mentioning this to me. Let's talk about Renaissance wax. What is that?
Well, I got it off of Amazon, but I learned about it through one of the paint reps. But basically, it is a wax that some museums are using it to conserve some paintings. And you can actually, it's like you just apply it with a cloth.
Right.
And then after you've done that, you buff it with another cloth.
Kind of like doing your shoes or your car.
Yeah, and it will have the shininess or lack of shininess depending on what kind of finish you put on before. So if you had a matte finish on your painting, it would not make it any shinier. It would still stay matte. But if you had a shiny finish like mine, it would keep it shiny. But it just buffs it really nice, and it's a protectant.
That's
so that it doesn't, nothing sticks to it, because you know sometimes those gels can feel a little bit sticky even after they've dried. So this way there's no more stickiness. It's virtually waterproof.
That's cool.
And no fingerprints.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I use it on all of my paintings now, and I just love how it protects them.
And it also, like, it's in today's environment, and I guess it's always been that way, but I notice it a lot these days. You know, no matter what you do, no matter how clean your house is, this dust and film and stuff will build up on surfaces.
Right.
And so this protects the painting from that.
Then you just have to wipe it.
Yeah.
You know, with a dry cloth.
That's cool.
You know, just like you do your normal dusting kind of thing. But I love it because it makes such a difference in my paintings, protecting them.
And brings a look to them that's unique to you. Yeah, it works really well. Marion's got such creative, colorful work. One thing I've always noticed about you as an artist is that you don't ever stop with where most people would stop. You always do something a little extra.
You got to keep going.
A little something different.
Well, I have a lot of things that interest me, and so, you know, I kind of like, I like to try different things.
Well, and I think you like to try new horizons all the time, you know, so. I mean, I don't know how you found the jelly plates. I hadn't heard anybody else talking about them until you brought them up. So how did you discover these?
Well, they have a lot of YouTubes out about jelly plates. And I'm always, sometimes when I'm too tired to work in the studio, I'll open up my tablet and I'll start looking at different YouTubes that are art related. And I just happened to run across a jelly plate one day, and then I watched a whole bunch of them. And I was like, I want to try this. And so then that one thing led to another, and that's what I did. So it's a good way to learn about techniques.
It is. YouTube's a really useful tool. And also all of these videos of the interviews we do are on YouTube. So it gives you, you know, you can go learn about the Arts Council on YouTube too. Now, you're going to be teaching more workshops on down the way. And so you'll be doing, I think we talked about doing one that focuses more on the jelly plate, not just on the collage ideas. So this is something that if it kind of intrigues you, you want to take the first workshop, which is coming up on May the 30th. And then after that, then you can sign up for more. We'll be signing her up for some more.
Sure, and you can do so much with a jelly plate, and you can make invitations to different things, make your own cards. You know, there's a variety of things.
Make your own wedding invitations.
That's exactly right.
Whatever like that. And I love getting greeting cards from artist friends because most of the time they will hand make it, hand paint it, hand print it, whatever it is. And they're treasures. They're not just a greeting card. And so
that person went to a little more effort.
Absolutely.
And makes it more special.
Yeah, it really does. And so this is a terrific way to do that. You know, this would be something you could do.
And it doesn't require any experience to learn how to do these kind of techniques. And you can just kind of jump off and go from there and take it as far as you want.
You know, that's a really good point because when we do a lot of workshops and stuff, I'll have people who feel inexperienced and they're afraid to step into the territory because they don't think they've got the skills they need. And the things like this, I mean, there's not any drawing or you know, whatever involved here, you know. So it's something that almost anybody can learn how to do and can jump into, and you can just kind of walk them through and get them into the process.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Speaking of people with no experience or people that are just want to play in the arts, we've got a project going on.
Oh, yes,
that Marion
we do.
dreamed up. Tell us about this project.
Well, Joe Miller was very, very gracious to give us a large wooden support. And
She means a big wooden panel.
It is huge. And so I prepped it with gesso and brought it in to Cherry. And he gave me a lot of paint also for it. So we have all these different colors of paint, and they're the primary colors in black and white, so you can mix to make whatever color you want. And basically we want to invite the community to come in and make their mark on this panel.
Right.
And I will have some brushes and some color shapers, different tools, sprayers. And I'll bring in some stencils too. So if you want to stencil something on it, you can do that. And you don't have to have any experience at all. You can just have fun, put some color down on this. And we'll be doing this every second Saturday until the fundraiser, which is
September the 26th.
September the 26th. And at the fundraiser, we're going to auction this off.
Right.
So we'll see what kind of fun product comes out in the end.
And you and I were talking about the assorted layers of things that go into paintings or your collages and that kind of thing. This can have multiple levels and layers. I mean, this thing can have a history before it ever gets there.
That's right. It may have stuff underneath stuff that you really can't see, or you can only see parts of, and it'll just make it more interesting.
And so, and also now, this to bring up a point on that is, this is not you don't own a little corner of the painting and that's your little spot and it's never going to change, because this is kind of fluid. Whatever happens, happens.
Right. That's right. Everything will be just moving from one second Saturday to the next. It'll change each time.
So it's already been a lot of fun. It's got a great start, and we're just going to keep on going. And every second Saturday, just plan to come. And if you want to come and you're worried about clothes, we've got smocks, so you're covered. So we can do anything like that if you're really one of those people who really wants to get into it. But actually, it doesn't require a whole lot of doings. I mean, to be able to do it, you don't have to have a smock. You could just
probably not.
Yeah. But just for those people who are sensitive about that, you're covered.
I mean, if you want to throw a lot of paint on there, you may want to put a smock on if you're going to be slinging paint.
If you're going to
sling
paint, warn me ahead of time so I can put up something behind it. We're going to get that ninja thing that Kent Paulette does. He has a ninja splat technique.
Oh, really?
That he does. And so,
interesting.
If you're going to take after that, then let me know ahead of time so I can put something behind the piece so that we don't end up with it all over the wall.
That's right.
One of the things I love the most about being around the Arts Council is all the creative bubbling of ideas that happens when I'm around artists. Artists are just full of new thoughts, new ideas. You're definitely a good example of that, because you just keep coming up with new things and new directions. And I know I can't ask you this question and expect a logical answer about where's Marion going next, because you probably don't know.
No, I probably don't.
Do you have things that you want to try that you've never tried before that are kind of in the back of your head of, I'm going there someday?
No, not really yet, but it probably will happen.
So it's just you do it as it comes to you.
Right now I'm having a lot of fun, doing some of these things. Although I did start something new recently.
What's this?
My husband found me some old textbooks about the body and inside the body. So I'm a nurse also, so this does interest me as well. And I thought, what can I do with these images? Because they were bright and colorful and interesting and rather abstract looking, like blood cells and different parts inside the body and that sort of thing. So I started ripping them out of the book and cutting them up and putting them in a collage and arranging. And just the nice thing about collage is you can sit there and arrange and arrange and arrange until you get it where you want it.
Right.
And so I would do that. I would glue it all down. And then after it had dried completely, I would take a pouring medium and add just a few drops of color to it and stir it up just very, very lightly. And then pour it on the support, spread it all out, and let it dry. And then what would happen was it would get this really thick, shiny surface with color swirling on top of the collaged parts. So it kind of pulled it together
Uh-huh.
with the swirling paint on top, but it would just be a very interesting abstract look. And I call it my Inside series.
Oh, yes, I get it.
So I've done 3 so far, and I really like, how that is working. So I probably will continue doing a few more of those, and I'll have a whole series of them.
That'll be cool. Then we'll have an exhibit.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
exactly what we'll do.
Yeah.
So now I need to mention something. This piece behind you made me think. Now this needs to go into pedal pushers.
Yeah, I was thinking about that actually, that might be a good one to go into pedal pushers. And also this one up here too, because
Right.
it has a big floral design on it. And this one is an example of background paint, because I just rolled a bunch of paints on there, and then I did my collage with the jelly papers and with the flowers that I had already cut out previously. And so when you come to the class, I will have a lot of collage materials
Right.
for you to choose from. And I'll have some floral stuff. I'll have some things that you... So you have to kind of just look at stuff and think about, what do I want to do with this? It'll be like a challenge, but a fun challenge. And sometimes you can take papers and things and cut them in different designs, and something that was really something else to start with, you can make it into something different.
That's cool. Yeah, that's the neat thing about collage, is you're taking things that have a whole other existence and you're giving them a new life.
That's right. That's right.
So when we mention pedal pushers, we're talking about a exhibit that's coming up in June, and the theme is petal, P-E-T-A-L, pushers, which means anything with flowers. So if you have a piece of any description of any medium that has flowers in it, artists, then you need to plan to be a part of pedal pushers, because it'll be...
It's the time to be thinking about flowers.
Thank goodness. I'm loving it.
I know, absolutely.
Well, your work fits so well into all of these colorful, bright times. I really enjoy your work so much. It's really neat work. You do some
thank
cool
you.
things.
Thank you.
Come get to know Marion even better. Sign up for her workshop. You can go to the Arts Council's webpage. We have an online store, and in the online store there's a place to sign up. And if you don't want to do all of that stuff and you just want to find out about it, call us at 264-1789. And while you're on the phone with me, you might want to ask me about how you might be able to get a discount coupon or something like that. We might have some opportunities that would work for you. So give us a call or go to our website and sign up for the class. Be sure you're in on Marion's class. You'll have a lot of fun.
It's no stress, no worries. We'll just have fun.
That's great. And that is on a Saturday, May the 30th, from 1 to 4 p.m.
1 to 4.
And check our website, watauga-arts.org, for a lot of information about this and a whole lot more.
Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.